I don't know if you guys saw during today's pre-market session, but Amazon randomly went from highs of 188 to lows of 182. It sold off, if I'm not mistaken, like 2 or 3%. Let me double check, 2.85%. Since then, it's made nearly a recovery as the NASDAQ market began to recover. And as markets begin to fall, then so will Amazon. That doesn't have a direct impact of what was announced. But this is where I simply, and again, like, just because you vote for someone doesn't mean that you have to blindly support them in every stupid thing that they say. White House blast Amazon over tariff costs report. So when you go on Amazon, just like you go on many different sites that might be importing products from China, they now disclose how much you are paying in tariffs. Because guess what? The Trump administration, we all understand that like tariffs do get passed down to the consumer. That is common sense. But they refuse to acknowledge that, and they don't like that when you see the cost breakdown, what the tariff is actually costing the consumer. Because I guess in that cost breakdown, it shows, okay, this is how much you're paying for the product, this is how much taxes, and this is how much the tariff price increase is. What are they supposed to do? Just blindly increase the price and have nothing to disclose why it's gone up? I think it's very, common sense for any type of company. I mean, we've seen it with Temu, we've seen it with, what's that other one? Shein. They're all disclosing that there are tariffs because these are the tariffs that are charged when they import their product from China. And now this White House goes, this is hostile and a political act. Dude, Jeff Bezos was there when Trump got inaugurated. Like, why does it always have to be so political for someone that's not supposed to be very political, right? I want you to hear and maybe decide for yourself. Let me know what you think.
Amazon will soon display a little number next to the price of each product that shows how much the Trump tariffs are adding to the cost of each product. So isn't that a perfect crystal clear demonstration that it's the American consumer and not China who is going to have to pay for these policies?
I will take this since I just got off the phone with the president about Amazon's announcement. This is a hostile and political act by Amazon. Why didn't Amazon do this when the Biden administration hiked inflation to the highest level?
Because inflation is not tracked as a tariff. It is not a form of inflation. It will later get tracked as inflation as tariffs begin to go up. Then that gets passed down to consumer when they do these consumer the CPI reports that come out on a monthly basis. Then at that point it will get tracked and we will see inflation begin to go up. But you have to understand they didn't have these excessive tariffs on everything that was imported from China into the U.S. during the Biden administration. There's nothing wrong with it, right? Like if that's the way that you want to negotiate with China, so be it. People that voted for you were well aware that you wanted to have and hike tariffs. That's not the issue. The issue is your inability to accept accountability for what you're doing.
40 years. And I would also add that it's not a surprise because as Reuters recently wrote, Amazon has partnered with a Chinese propaganda arm. So this is another reason why Americans should buy American. It's another reason why we are onshoring critical supply chains here at home to shore up our own critical supply chain.
Amazon is one of the most valuable companies that's publicly traded in the American stock market.
And boost our own manufacturing here.
Is Jeff Bezos still a Trump supporter?
Look, I will not speak to the president's relationships with Jeff Bezos, but I will tell you that this is certainly a hostile and political action by Amazon. And Secretary, if you have anything to add.
Yeah, I would also add that the bringing down the terrible Biden inflation has been a priority for the first 100 days of the Trump administration, and President Trump has done a great job of leading that since January 20th. Interest rates, mortgage rates are down, gasoline and energy prices are down. We're expecting the further decreases. And as Caroline said, the big tax on consumers that goes unnoticed is deregulation or regulation, and we are deregulating and bringing that down. So from a household income point of view,
I don't even know what to say when it comes down to this. It's like, it is what it is. It doesn't matter that you don't like the way that things are worded or disclosed or displayed on someone else's business. But Amazon obviously has millions of consumers in America. So yes, it might look, the Trump administration might not look like the way that it looks because it makes them look bad because, hey, the tariff was never supposed to be passed down to the consumer. It was supposed to be paid by China. But again, you think China's going to just take the hit? No, they're going to increase their prices and then that gets passed down to the consumer. That's not inflation on the front end. Those are tariffs as you were having a trade war. Later down the road, any imports from China, right, as it gets tracked by consumers, then at that point, inflation will begin to go up because, again, that will get tracked in our CPI data reports. It is just so bothersome that, like, no one that voted for Trump should be unaware, like myself, right, should be unaware that Trump wanted to have a trade war. He wanted to implement tariffs in effort, according to his policies when he was running, to try to replace the federal income tax, right? So no one should be surprised that inflation should possibly go up, that tariffs, do cost more for consumers. That is common sense. But the inability to accept accountability is mind-boggling to me. Like, these guys, the press secretary, right, or whatever, what is he? Let me double check. Like, for him to be stuttering over his words. I think this is Treasury Secretary, right? Bessent. Yeah, it is. It's so childish. Like, who cares? It's so clear as day that this tariff is getting passed down to the consumer, and you don't like how another business is running their business, then do a better job, right? Do a better job explaining that, yeah, okay, it does get passed down to the consumer, to the American person. Who cares? It's just, at this point, what do they call it? A hostile and political attack act. That's so stupid. For the White House to openly or speak out about a publicly traded company and try to speak bad about them because they are trying to just be open and disclose why their prices are going up, I see no harm in that. Multiple companies are doing that import products from China. And guess what? The US just doesn't have the infrastructure to manufacture like China does. We don't have the supply chain. We don't have any of that. And it doesn't mean that we can't, right? There's no problem in wanting to, but it's going to take years to build plants, to also import raw material, which of course is going to be tariffed. So it's never going to be cheaper than if China does it. Nonetheless, that's why they do it, right? It's common sense. It's frustrating. On top of that, the thing that I also want to make sure that you guys are aware is that consumer confidence report came out, JOLTS, and which are job openings came out, both came out lower than what was expected. So less jobs are being opened and consumer confidence is lower than what was expected. Again, all of this looks bearish to me, yet markets are still holding at these overbought levels. Remember, we're taking it day by day. As of right now, market is still waiting to hear updates on what's going on between China and the US. If anything negative comes out, then be ready for the market to drop. If anything positive comes out, then be ready for market to recover. As of right now, there's a lot of consolidation, a lot of uncertainty if the market's going to continue to rally or begin to retrace. So I would just tread lightly. I wouldn't be scared to take advantage of these opportunities. Just be mindful of your position size. That's all I have to share with you guys. So again, if you guys have any questions, just like we talked about it today, I go live every single morning right at market open. And like you can see, right, not just because I vote for someone or just because I like someone, does that mean that I have to agree with everything it is that they say? If I see bullshit, I'll call bullshit, right? That's the whole point of trying to be an individual. You can have your bias, but to also try to, have a level-headed approach and how you digest what the market is doing. So I hope that you guys can see some value in that. And again, if you do, please consider dropping a thumbs up and subscribing. Hope to see you for our live trading session. That's the second link in the description down below. And like always, let's make sure that we end the year on a green note. Take care, team.